and Her Boys, whose misdemeanors have been dramatized over the years in books and in films, particularly with regard to the degree to which Barker was herself a criminal. Not all the outlaw tales, however, were exaggerated. Bonnie and Clyde, the most famous outlaw couple of all time, may have been glamorized even more in years since their deaths, but they were larger-than-life legends even when they were alive. It's a phenomenon for which the FBI itself was partially responsible. Being placed on the most wanted list pumped up the crook status, making the criminals' reputations even more notorious. However, from John Dillinger and his gang to Ma Barker and Her Boys, the reality of their lives and the circumstances they lived under as they committed their crime sprees were anything but glamorous. Many of these criminals were on the lam for years, hiding out wherever so they could, and terrorizing towns with kidnappings, robberies and murders, often mowing down anyone whom tried to get in their way. Because they had to keep low profiles, they lived rough, bedded down where they could, and frequently didn't know when they'd eat their next meal. There's an irony to this, of course, as many of the United States Depression-era gangsters such as Pretty Boy Floyd and Machine Gun Kelly were down on their luck and turned to a life of crime because during the economic slump there was simply no work to be found. Many were poor country boys and girls yearning for a new way of life and willing to do anything to get it, for whom shiny new cars and powerful submachine guns were equally covetable tokens of success. Most died violent deaths. Outlaws and their nicknames. To accompany their notorious reputations, outlaws often had outrageous names bestowed upon them. Some of the names didn't exactly fit their tough guy personas, such as Charles Prettyboy, as with Charles Prettyboy Floyd and Lester Babyface Nelson Gillis. Some, however, were entirely appropriate, as evidenced by their rather unimaginative but apposite monikers for George Machine Gun Kelly and Alvin Creepy Carpis, whose eventual 26-year incarceration at the Rock, Alcatraz or Devil's Island was the longest sentence that prison had ever known. Lesser-known Western outlaws included Slim Kid, One Shot Charlie, Wild Dick and Indian Bob, whether they were high-profile or relatively unknown, their nicknames of their desperados were no accident and certainly not given with affection. Assigning catchy, memorable monikers to robbers was an FBI innovation that survived the United States gold rush days and prohibition. The practice continues today, just as it was done in years past for old-style Western robbers. Modern-day law enforcement still give their robbers a name that sticks. While federal agents doubtless quietly enjoy assigning the latest epithet to a robber de jure, it's actually a serious business. The names are given to help trap these hold-up artists. For instance, one robber in San Diego, California was labeled the Bad Breath Bandit by FBI agents because bank tellers reported that his breath stank. In Arizona, an unattractive criminal nickname was Ugly Robber. She was given the title because she used different disguises and wore a variety of colorful wigs to a dozen hold-ups. These unflattering catchy monikers are given so public will remember them and tip off the FBI with leads. The Ugly Robber was eventually caught after 4 months on the run. Upon Washington State, suspects have been given names as unusual as the Pillowcase, Dueling Banjo and Attila the Bun, the latter on account of the fact that the female suspect had a messy bun of a haircut. Indeed, hair crops up in a lot of FBI's nickname tags. Witness the high-profile Ponytail Bandit. The suspected culprit was an attractive, slender woman in her 20s whose shoulder-length blonde ponytail stuck out from the back of a baseball cap in images captured on security video cameras. She pulled off a string of bank robberies that began during 8th May 2007 in Austin, Texas, and were repeated nearly identical heists in California and Washington states. During the robberies, she would ask the tellers to smile as they handed over the money. Because her photos and nickname were broadcast internationally, during February 2008, authorities, based on anonymous tip, arrested the 21-year-old Morgan Michelle Hoke at the Cha Cha Villa Hotel in Bangkok, Thailand. The FBI did not release the dollar amount of the total take. As usual, they typically do not want would-be robbers to look at it as a lucrative occupation. Authorities named Hoke's husband, 26-year-old Stuart Michael Romine, as the alleged partner in crime in what law enforcement described as a modern Bonnie and Clyde-style crime spree. The husband's complicity was suspected due to surveillance video footage in which a man looking very like him, wearing a similar baseball cap to Morgan Hoke's, could be seen holding up 4 Texas banks. He remains at large. Dress sense has also earned some criminals their names. Upon Southern California, one robber dressed so stiffly that agents dubbed him the Button-Up Bandit, and during December 2007, the Los Angeles Police Department issued a news release informing the public about a tuxedo bandit whom lifted 2 expensive Rolex watches. The crime happened in mid-afternoon when the unarmed man dressed in a dinner jacket walked into the St. Cross watch store in Los Angeles. Posing as a customer, he told the store clerk that he was interested in buying an engagement gift for his girlfriend. After the would-be buyer spotted a couple of Rolex watches in the display case, he asked if he could see them. Once the timepieces were in his hands, he ran out of the front door and fled. He had gotten away with the champagne-style Rolexes with diamond bezels, valued at a total of $60,200. The bandit and the stolen watches have never been located. They're probably at a casino, Vegas, somewhere like this, somewhere a rich place like this. The prize for or maybe they just mashed up and lost now. The prize for the most cumbersome of criminal nicknames most surely go to the irreconcilable differences. Bandit doesn't exactly trip off the tongue, does it? He earned his nickname after telling a Beverly Hills bank teller while he was holding her up that he was going through a divorce. He was eventually caught and held accountable for 17 bank heists. Now, these are other people's money, you see. You put your money in there, someone else takes it. It's not good, so it's best to catch these people. It's your money, they don't even do anything. As long as the crooks are robbing banks, it appears that the practice of assigning them unflattering handles will no doubt continue. Next, I will read Billy the Kid, the United States' most famous outlaw. Thank you very much for listening, and have a nice day.